I'm Jonathan Agudelo. I built a tool that turns what students say about our universities on Reddit into clear and usable insight for admissions. Let's dive into the problem it's solving. Right now, most admissions and enrollment teams rely on surveys, focus groups, and maybe a few online reviews. Meanwhile, Reddit is full of unfiltered student opinions about programs, advising, and campus life. The problem is that no one has time to read hundreds of posts across multiple subreddits and make sense of it to turn it into clear, actionable insight. I built a tool that turns Reddit conversations about your university into a dashboard of trending themes of what students are happy about, concerned about, and how often it comes up, side to side with official metrics like admission rate, cost, and student outcomes.
Hi everyone, here's the Reddit Admissions Analytics Dashboard. Normally the landing page is all schools, but I made my way to Montclair State University. On the left, you can filter by school, sentiment type, or city. At the top of the dashboard, you get what I like to call a pulse. A bar chart showing how many posts are positive versus negative, and a line chart of admissions-related posts over time. So you can see both the mood and whether conversation is heating up or cooling down. As I scroll, you'll see the key phrase charts. First, the overall top phrases. Then, separate charts for positive and negative phrases. This shows what students praise and what they are concerned about. Below that, the insights and suggestions and summarized student discussion sections, they condense hundreds of posts into a few clear takeaways and sample comments. It's almost like a highlight reel of what students are actually saying, asking, and worrying about. Further down, you see topic modeling and TF-IDF keyword analysis. These group posts into major themes and surface the phrases that matter most for the school. The kind of language you'd want counselors to know about before a college fair or a recruiting event. A little further down, you get college scoreboard metrics and the comparison visuals that show how Reddit sentiment lines up with admission rates. Just a little further down, and you get a similarity matrix that shows how similar the schools are to each other based on student language. At the bottom, you see the word map, the most frequent terms and phrases for the school, plus export buttons. So with one click, you can send data to analysts or generate a PDF report for leadership for that presentation that's coming up. I hope you enjoyed the demo.
Admissions could use this in four main ways. First, as an early warning system. If posts about advising or housing turn negative, you see it before it becomes a bigger issue. Second, as a message check. If our marketing says one thing and Reddit says another, that's a cue to adjust. Third, for peer comparison. You can see how your Reddit story stacks up against nearby schools. And fourth, for college events. Recruiters walk in already knowing what students are excited about and what they worry about, so they're ready for real questions. Once we have a real partner, we can look at three main growth paths: expanding to more schools, platforms, automating refreshes either monthly or by semester, and adding smart alerts that flag spikes in trending posts such as advising or housing so admissions can be proactive instead of reacting after the fact. If I'm sitting in admissions, I'd invest in this for a few reasons. First, it turns messy Reddit chatter into a simple story I can actually use. Second, it makes strengths and pain points show up clearly in students' own words. Third, it quietly monitors Reddit for real admissions questions and concerns so you're seeing what actually matters for enrollment. And finally, it's low lift. It runs on public data, doesn't require new surveys, and exports clean reports I can share with leadership. Behind the scenes, everything runs in Python. The main Py file is a control center. When I run it, it calls scrapper.py to pull Reddit posts, data cleaning py to clean the data, and analyzer.py to run textblob and TF-IDF with logistic regression for sentiment, Spacy for key phrases, and LDA for topics. Then scorecard.py pulls and merges the college scorecard data. All of that flows into the Streamlit dashboard in dashboard.py and produces the visuals I showed earlier, the sentiment charts, phrase bars, topics, word maps, and so on. Thank you for listening. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and today I'm going to be presenting to you Ideas Outfitters. So before we go ahead and get started, I would like to explain some pain points on what I see from my industry. A lot of small to medium businesses looking to create a physical location usually have a hard time on the initial stage, which is getting ready to plan. So they either use a designer, which becomes very costly, or they try to do it themselves, which becomes very costly in terms of time. If you look here on my chart, you can see a lot of the pain points as well as what the fees look like on the right. So as you can see, professional designer fees can cost anywhere between $2,000 to $10,000. Retail price markups are up to 50%, especially if you buy from online platforms like Wayfair and Overstock, given that they might not have wholesale connections. Additional services such as 3D and space planning can become very costly as well, so you can get a good idea of what your space may look like. And overall, if you do work with a designer, again, you get up to a 20 to 30% markup just from them helping you alone. So, given from the data that I found through Spacey and Reddit, I was able to abstract specific items and keywords that seem to be the most important to these small to medium businesses when getting ready to do their research. If you look on the left-hand side here, you could see that Reddit found a little bit more specified common words, such as standing desk, break room tables, storage lockers, and so forth, while on the right here, Spacey has a little bit more broader context, such as contract furniture, commercial grade, supply chain management, lead time, and so forth. But if you look on the left and right, there are four common denominators, which seem to be the most overall important, which is conference table, reception desk, file cabinet, and modular workstation. So, who exactly do we normally tap into when doing these projects? It looks like it's a lot of law firms, a lot of real estate offices, medical and dental practices, coffee shops, and plenty more. And that being said, what exactly is Ideas Outfitters' objective? So, using insights gathered from both Spacey and Reddit, I was able to identify common keywords, pain points, and industries actively seeking affordable, efficient furnishing solutions. These findings reveal a consistent need among SMBs for guidance in space planning, cohesive design, and cost-effective furniture sourcing. Ideas Outfitters addresses these needs by streamlining the entire process into one platform, allowing businesses in high demand industries to quickly design, visualize, and procure furniture with confidence, reduce costs, and minimal friction. So, talking more specifically on what Ideas offers, the goal is to create an all in one platform from designing all the way to purchasing. How do we start? We start with a preference based quiz. It matches the style, function, industry, and budget of what it is that this SMB is looking to accomplish. From there, we do a floor plan, which you can upload into our platform, and we create a 3D space visualization with the products that we offer from the platform into your space so you can really maximize the entire use of your specific physical location. From there, there will no longer be a designer needed, which there's a savings between 35% per project. And as you can see here, given that we work with suppliers, they'll be getting near to wholesale pricing, which is a savings on its own. From there, we then go to a checkout, which is one order drop shipped, and if it wanted for an additional cost, a white glove service to make it super easy for you. And that way you don't have to do absolutely anything. And then from there, you're also able to see previous purchases from other SMBs and what are common trends, common items needed, and common colors used. So, why exactly should you invest in Ideas Outfitters? Investing in Ideas Outfitters means backing up a platform that turns up to date online data into a game changing way to design and furnish commercial spaces. Right now, SMBs face a confusing, critical moment trying to bring their vision to life, and our goal is to make it seamless, data driven, and essential. This is not just a tool, but it is a becoming of a platform that businesses do not want to operate without. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hopefully being able to grow Ideas Outfitters with your help.
Hi everybody, my name is Joseph Francis. This is my 10th recording. Hope you guys are all doing well because you're having a good holiday break. Hope you guys all enjoyed your semester. This is my last school assignment ever. I'm going to be graduating after this, and this is kind of the one that's going to be wrapping it up in a bow. I'm really excited, to talk about this one because I had wrestled between a lot of different data sets, and this was the one that I thought was the best. And look at me, I love food. It's obvious, but this is going to be called Review IQ. Name is, I'm not committed to the name, but it's going to be transforming customer reviews into a competitive advantage using a Yelp review data set. It's only going to be using ones in Philly as of right now because New Jersey are not available, but the idea is to be able to use more data sets by getting more access to different customers' data sets in their, in their businesses and whatnot. The problem, small businesses, small to medium businesses, they have a million different reviews, but it's hard for them to really understand what is actually going on in the reviews. A lot of times they don't sit down and they don't read each and every one, every Popeyes franchise, every massage place, every every restaurant that's out there. They're not going to sit down and read every single review and be able to draw meaningful connections. But my SaaS platform, or software as a service platform, is going to be using the ideas that were presented to us in this class in order to analyze these reviews and give actionable business intelligence to the owners of the businesses in order to draw conclusions from them quickly, whenever they want. They don't have to wait for like a consultant to come, or they could if that's the other idea that I might be going with, but I'll say all that at the end. I did a light business model, I'm not married to that either. It's probably going to have to go a lot lower than that when I first start, offering this to people, because they don't, I have no prior experience doing this, but eventually I will. Target market, like I said, small to medium, maybe a little bit higher than that. Businesses, maybe Targets or Quiznos, anything like that. Anything that has more than 10 Yelp reviews, probably. They need to be able to do that, focusing on retail and stuff. Unlike the generic tools, generic sentiment tools that are available now, we're going to be giving industry-specific insights and competitive benchmarking at a fraction of the pricing. We're going to be using our technical stack is Python, NLP, machine learning, Scikit, all the good stuff that we learned. Basically just being able to, offer them different insights to all of their reviews that they already have, and then maybe off of that we'll be able to, draw our own conclusions once we gain more data, and that's something that we can talk about later. But here's the top noun phrases, fresh vegetables obviously being the top, and you're going to see that a lot. There's going to be like kind of a conclusion we're drawing in the Philly area, which I think is kind of even funnier because it is Philly, but they're not really super into descriptive terms. It's more just like fresh. We got wood fire, the pizza's fresh, the fresh one. Like, it's not super, inquisitive. Like, it's just more. You could see the best reviews that are given in all of these restaurants are all about fresh stuff, fresh vegetables, fresh fresh everything. I'm running out of time here, but you could see that we could draw. There's a lot of things that we could draw from this, and we'd be able to say, listen, like these are the things that you should focus on. These are the your marinara sauce, right? Like here, like you should focus on marketing that, or maybe the toppings. Like they don't really care about fresh toppings. Maybe go away from that. These are just like the insights that I think that they would want to hear. And besides like being the last thing I wanted to touch upon is that maybe I don't sell this to the owners. I become like a small business consultant, and I'm able to say, listen, I'm going to be using AI. I'm just going to say AI a bunch because they don't know what it means, and we're smarter than them. And I'm going to say, listen, I'm using AI. I can give you, really good insights into your business that you wouldn't be able to draw by yourself. I could do it quickly. I could do it often. I could do it cheap, and then, you scale up from there. So it's basically either I'm going to sell a platform to these people that they can use to draw their own insights, or I'm going to use these tools in order to consult with them and give them their own insights and, kind of be more of a consultant way. That's really my pitch. I didn't want to bring in more than 5 minutes, but there's just so much, and
Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Hirsch. I'm going to present my project, which was about unlocking the growth of ChatGPT, which is kind of one of the biggest and first Gen AI applications that people are using. What I did is I analyzed over 900,000 reviews of the app from Kaggle, which was a data set that's refreshed daily. So I actually lately refreshed it yesterday so we can have the most up-to-date information, and this can really see beyond just number of review, if it's 5 stars or something. You can see here the sentiments around it and what people are using the app for, which I'm going to get more into, as well as our business plan. So moving ahead, looking at the data, almost 1 million rows, there's a lot to process. So oftentimes I used pandas for sampling. I just would take a sample of the data, random sample, as well as NLTK and regex for the cleaning, because there would be different things like typos or long text, characters, things not in English that I couldn't really analyze in this case. So that's what I did for the cleaning. We can see here from the insights, there's a lot of reviews, but they're short. But even though they're short, it kind of helps to get the value of the words and the phrases without stop words. We can see here, helpful, nice, useful. So a lot of great sentiments about the app so far in the reviews. Moving ahead, I looked into the user intent. So what are the users actually doing with the app? Here we could see the top tasks are generating images or pictures, solving questions, solving problems. There's another one, fix the AIs. Maybe they did something trying to fix it, as well as created something for the enterprise, written communication, or solving problems. So those are kind of the tasks mentioned. And then looking at the noun phrases, a lot of nice app, best app, good app, and then applications. But I think students, answers, chat, image, those are kind of some of the ones we want to focus on to see who our users are and what are they doing. Moving ahead, I looked into the 1-star versus the 5-star reviews. So users like that's a helpful assistant, best app, etc., feeling good about it in the 5-star category. But the 1-star category shows worst app, wrong answers, personal data, free version, long time. So those are kind of the sentiments that we could see. There's opportunity to improve, to convert those 1-star reviews to 5, right, and make money off those users. So while people value it, they maybe have issues with timing of the app, how long it takes, accuracy, and so on. Looking ahead at the statistical and technical validation, the noun phrase IDF again shows information, student, nice app, best app, and so on. I'm mentioning about the app. And then the heat map, we can see the comparing the different reviews. There's spots that show that there are clusters of errors or different things that are affecting users that show different patterns that we could look into for the similarity. So the monetization strategy, I would tap into some of the things we've seen. The free large casual user base, which is what you have right now with almost 1 million reviews of the app of people using it. And those are just people that wrote reviews. So there's clearly demand, tap into them further and either, solve the issues or provide paid ads for other companies to make some money off of them. The scholar segment, I would use them. The students came up a lot and they want to find, the correct information. So solve the wrong answer and fake information piece and maybe charge them like $10, $9.99 a month or something for the student users to tap into that market with a specialized piece of that. Next, I would look into enterprise. So there was a lot of communication or high frequency tasks that kind of came up with information. Instead of just charging them for a license, I would charge based on service or successful outcomes. So because enterprises need the correct information. And the creative segment, because we saw a lot about image generation and creation, maybe create creative ChatGPT piece. I think those are your biggest markets. And then in terms of winning the market, so looking at competitors, or maybe I could bring this analysis to competitors as they're developing their apps and what things they would need. Look at the accuracy. If you could provide a 99% accuracy guarantee or something, that would really help, especially seeing that from our similarity matrix and the 1-star reviews, people finding wrong answers, wrong information. I think a learning ecosystem would be a great thing to have. So instead of just giving students answers when they feed things into the tool, provide logic-based tutoring with the step-by-step of how to do something from the Gen AI application instead of just the answer, to target that student market that's using it heavily. And then the market viability, you could change the user interfaces and the pricing. That's not a high risk. People can opt into that, and you can still keep the free version, and also the speed as well to market. And that would be higher margin revenue streams, which would ultimately turn the 1-stars into 5-stars and turn them into paid users, whether that's within ChatGPT or to a competitor, as more of these apps will pop up. Thank you.
Hello, I'm excited to present Customer Experience Intelligence System, CXIS, that transforms financial complaints into innovation opportunities to achieve proactive product excellence in financial technology industry. Next is agenda. We'll go through the problem statement, introduction to our solution, ML techniques, followed by market viability and conclusion. Now let's dive in. Imagine over 3K consumer complaints flooding banks daily. Each represents a missed opportunity for innovation and product improvement. In the chart below, you can see global fintech market growth. The market is exploding with over 19% annual growth rate, which is driven by AI and ML investments. 70% of complaints reveals systemic issues like fraud and billing errors. We aim to turn this complaint data into product wins using ML techniques. Now let's talk about our proposed solution. CXIS is a ML-powered platform that turns noise into business value. Using advanced NLP techniques, we derive actionable insights from our data. This enables target product improvements such as automated fraud alerts for credit cards, ultimately boosting customer retention through data-informed innovation. Next is efficiency framework. This approach ensures low risk success. Bird in hand with CFPB data and NLP skills, affordable loss by prototyping on credit cards, lemonade by turning data noise into opportunities, crazy quilt partnerships with experts, and pilot in plane for actionable dashboards. Next is data background. Our foundation is 3K Consumer Financial Protections Bureau complaints data. We clean the text, remove noise, and tokenize, preparing quality data for analysis and ensuring reliable insights from real consumer voices. Next is TF-IDF analysis. TF-IDF quantifies importance beyond raw frequency, uncovering hidden consumer pain points that traditional surveys miss. The word cloud and bar chart highlights key terms such as fraud and account, signaling crisis situations such as reduced trust. Next is noun phrase analysis. Phrases like credit report are extracted and ranked for precision. Beyond single words, this reveals context such as excessive fees and enable targeted fixes, driving precision fintech innovations. Next is one-hot similarity. One-hot encoding clusters complaints by vocabulary overlap. The heat map shows thematic groups like credit-related issues, which are perfect for automating categorization and reducing manual review. This is a 50 by 50 subset that showcases clustered complaint patterns in a focus view. Next is bag of word similarity. Bag of word similarity captures intensity. Here, repeated fraud indicates severity, unlike binary one-hot encoding. High similarity docs reveal template-like complaints or repeated systemic issues. Here is a 50 by 50 subset with focus view for bag of words. Next is sentiment and summarization. For additional analysis, I used NLTK's Sentiment Intensity Analyzer to generate sentiment scores and extractive summaries based on token frequency. Here, negatives dominate complaints data. Next is product innovations. From data to action. Enhance credit cards with fraud detection, mortgages with transparent rates, and accounts with alerts. This mapped to our analysis, promising significant cost savings and loyalty gains. Next is market viability. The fintech market has a high potential growth. We will use a subscription-based model that offers and targets mid-tier banks and fintech startups, focusing on CX tools with high ROI potential. In conclusion, CX turns complaints into engines of innovation, blending data science with business value. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kendall Joseph, and I'll be presenting SoundMate, a way in which we can make connections through music. Music has always been a key pillar in bringing people together and building strong relationships. But instead of wondering if your music taste matches someone new, imagine letting it help you find your future best friend or even your future partner. That's where SoundMate comes in. Using Spotify data, I applied natural language processing techniques to analyze playlist names that users made, and then the artist selections within them. By combining playlist level and artist level similarities, I quantified the compatibility between users. So in terms of the process, it started with collecting and cleaning data from Spotify, then extracting features such as TF-IDF terms, then computing the similarity, and then ultimately matching users. Looking at the NLP techniques, TF-IDF terms were useful in identifying distinctive words in playlist names and then allowing meaningful comparisons to be made between playlists. So this helped distinguish between generic phrases and then identifying music moods such as chill that we see here. We also have workout and other useful terms. And then if we look at the noun phrases, we also have useful terms such as party playlists, old songs, Christmas music, a lot of terms that really help distinguish playlists from each other. Moving on towards the similarity matrices, these were useful in quantifying how similar not only playlists are to each other, but also the artists that are in the playlist to each other. So I not only did it for playlist to playlist similarities, but also artist to artist within the playlists. Looking at the business plan / market viability, the target market for SoundMate is Gen Z and millennials who actively use Spotify and are open to meeting new people in their area. Early adopters would probably include college students, young professionals, and individuals who are new to a city and looking to make meaningful connections. So SoundMate will also be offered on a freemium software as a service model. So the free tier would allow users to connect their Spotify account, receive a limited number of nearby matches, and view a basic compatibility score. The premium subscription, however, would unlock unlimited matches, have deeper compatibility insights, and then allow advanced filters based off of mood or genre. Additional revenue opportunities could also come from partnerships with music-related brands or even event-based collaborations with venues or festivals, allowing users to connect in a social setting as well based off of their profiles. Looking at the market viability, I think there's also a low barrier to entry just because I'll be leveraging existing user data from Spotify to help make connections. Music already connects us emotionally. SoundMate just makes that connection actionable, helping people turn shared taste into relationships. All that being said, that is my presentation, and thank you for watching.
Hello, my name is Dan Kosachek. For my project, I explored how machine learning and natural language processing can support budget-fed construction in Magic the Gathering's Commander format. For context, Magic the Gathering is a strategy card game where players build decks from thousands of cards, each defined primarily by their rules text. Commander is a very popular format where players build 100-card decks based around a singular defining card known as their commander, which heavily shapes how the deck plays. This is a development-focused project that looks at how data and machine learning can guide product design, not just produce predictions. With that context, here's the core problem I'm trying to address. Commander as I stated, is the most popular Magic format, but it has a big onboarding problem. New players want to start playing quickly, but building a deck, especially one on a budget, requires deep rules knowledge and a lot of research time. Most existing tools optimize for power, not affordability, which leaves budget players underserved. And this isn't just my observation. The average competitive Magic the Gathering Commander deck price is $700, and the median is $500. This is a quote from EDH Recast, the official podcast of EDHREC, which is one of the most widely used data-driven deck building platforms. Even in expert communities, budget consistently comes up as a barrier. The problem is well understood, but existing tools still struggle to solve it. Most deck building tools today are either rules-based or popularity-based. They're very good at identifying strong cards, but they're not as good as identifying substitutes, especially cheaper ones. The key gap is knowing what a card doesn't tell you what you can replace it with at a lower cost. That gap is what drove my approach to the data. The first step in this project was building a structured dataset from raw card data. I combined Oracle rules text, card metadata such as mana cost and rarity, and historical price data stored separately. The goal here wasn't modeling it, it was creating a clean, extensible foundation for experimentation. The price separation is intentional, so modeling decisions aren't biased by real-time prices. Once the data was structured, similarity analysis started to reveal an important pattern. Cards naturally cluster by mechanics, what they do in the game, rather than by price. That's a strong signal that budget optimization isn't primarily a pricing problem. This clustering is what makes the system I'm developing possible. To model card mechanics, I use natural language processing techniques on the Oracle rules text. TF-IDF highlights meaningful terms, and noun phrase extraction helps capture game mechanics such as target feature or combat damage. These phrases act as a functional vocabulary for the model. These features allow the model to compare cards based on function, not just labels or tags. Based on these insights, this is the system I'm developing. The user will be able to select a commander and a budget constraint. The machine learning components then identify functionally similar cards and assemble a deck that preserves core mechanics while still respecting the budget. Importantly, the machine learning operates on historical data, and the final output links to third-party purchase endpoints rather than calling pricing APIs directly. This is why rules-based approach alone isn't enough. Rules-based systems can tell you which cards are strong. What they can't do is tell you which cards are interchangeable. That relationship isn't explicit in the data. It has to be learned, and that's where the machine learning adds real value. To make this more concrete, when the model identifies functionally similar cards, the cost difference can be substantial. In several examples from my analysis, replacing commonly recommended staples with functionally similar alternatives resulted in cost reductions on the order of 60 to 90%, while still preserving those core mechanics of the deck. That's the gap machine learning is helping to surface, not by finding cheaper cards arbitrarily, but identifying the interchangeable ones. Once you can reliably identify substitutes, monetization follows naturally. The common thread here is discovery. By surfacing playable alternatives, the system creates value that naturally supports affiliate revenue, premium features, or platform integration. I'll close by emphasizing why this project matters. This project wasn't about building a finished deck builder. It was about showing how machine learning can move beyond prediction and into decision support. By structuring the data and analyzing similarity in card mechanics, the data itself guided the product design. The key takeaway? The idea didn't precede the analysis. The data shaped it.
Good evening, my name is John Lauren, and tonight I will be presenting my machine learning project to an executive at a logistics company that I have worked at for 5+ years now. With that, I will get started. Good evening, my name is John Lauren, and I will be talking about using machine learning to drive monetization through data insights. The agenda will be mission statement, road to insight, what our data tells us, and next steps. Mission statement. Provide an example of how machine learning can drive monetization through data insights. I have worked at this company for 5+ years now, and in that time I have noticed that our database is full of fields that are extremely descriptive and would be apt to run through machine learning processes to gain further insights into them. For today's example, I took our charge code descriptions and ran them through some machine learning processes. The first one is I extracted the operational phrases from our charge code descriptions, and in there you already start to see some insights being provided. We have chassis fee and warehouse demurrage. These are not only words, these are operational signals. They tell us what we're doing and how often we're doing it. And with machine learning, we can spotlight these patterns, further standardizing our billing language, which reduces disputes and identifies charges we may be performing but not monetizing. Next, we took these phrases and correlated how related they are, and you can see that they start falling into these different buckets. We have transport, time-based, handling ratio, and billing ratio. This allows us to group charges by operational behavior, which improves billing accuracy. We then took a look inside of these groups and had the different charges that are associated within them, and at that point, a red flag has appeared suggesting we might be underbilling since the transportation seems to dominate this data set with over 107,000 records, while billing and charging are barely visible, suggesting that we're underbilling for both time-based penalties and admin fees. Through machine learning, we can further spotlight patterns like this where we need to realign our billing language and so that we can capture revenue that we're currently missing. Next up, we have what our data tells us, the insights in our AR charge descriptions. Within our noun phrases, you can see that the language is highly structured and repeatable, even though it is free-form text. That consistency is an asset when we're trying to monetize these data sets. Phrases like faculty fee, facility fee, and advance payment appear thousands of times. That consistency allows us to classify charges and identify where our billing is concentrated. Machine learning helps us turn this language into structured insights, and these insights will drive monetization. Next up, we have the AR charges that are broken down into the 4 semantic groups. We have time-based penalties and transportation charges that make up the bulk of this data set. This tells us where we should focus and drive better billing and smarter pricing. And finally, we have next steps, which are reduce revenue leakage through charge accuracy. Machine learning can reveal where descriptions are vague, inconsistent, or incomplete. Standardizing descriptions reduces underbilling, mischarges, and disputes. Identify high-value fee families and underutilized charges. Transport and time-based penalties dominate this data set, but are not billed consistently. Machine learning can highlight fees that appear frequently in operations, but not always in billing. This creates an opportunity to capture charges or services we're performing, but not monetizing. And automate charge classifications to accelerate cash flow. Cleaner billing translates to fewer disputes and quicker AR turnover, directly improving our DSO and cash predictability. And with that, thank you and good night.
Hi class, my name is Paul Moon. This is my final presentation for business application in machine learning. In this talk, I have an agenda to talk about industry challenges in real estate using machine learning and artificial intelligence, and how we could get data and how we could clean the data and how do we make it happen. And the whole thing about this is, in real estate industry, we have a very fragmented data sources, and they all keep the data very differently. For example, MLS, multi-listing service, has a different way of listing data, and public records which is townships, economic indicators are also kept by federal government level, like how much interest rate or how many loans are given out and so forth and so on. And traditionally, it's a very, very labor intensive to gather data and make decisions. Who needs this automated data ingestion? And I think almost everybody who deals with real estate needs this new way of approaching, because they want to know the price of the land, or how much is to build the structure, or if you want rent, how much is a fair rent, and so forth and so on. So where can we get the reliable data source? We could use API to go out and get the data from various different sources. For example, FRED is a federal government keeping the vital data source in economy, and Reddit is people come and talk about they could complain or lamenting how the rent is going up or down. And Zillow is famous for giving the current listing for in the real estate industry. And CoStar and Atom is being used by real estate professionals. And we could get some texture data from Reddit and local news, municipality documents, and property descriptions from various sources. So using Python is a very powerful way to deal with this very confusing market. First of all, we could automate the data collection. We could get it from various different sources, and we have tools available using Python, including natural language processing and pandas and NumPy, Scikit, and Spacy for doing some texture data, and word cloud, and Seaborn and Matplotlib to do some of the data calculations. And FRED is a very important data source because they've been keeping reliable data for a very, very long time on commercial real estate, delinquency rate, construction and land development lending, how much is lended, how many of them are lended out in various different geographic locations, and so forth and so on. And Reddit is important because people come and complain or recommend in the various different part of a subreddit. And we have a very important natural language processing tools, and TF-IDF as one of the tools to see what is important things going on. using natural language. And ultimately, we want to give various different customer what is a fair rent or what is the forecastable market for renting and construction estimate in the future or present, and sentiment driven market signal, which is like, oh, uh, many people want to buy or want to sell, and actual demand and supply predictions based on various different data sources. And on the case study in the commercial market, what I did in this project came from mainly a CBRE, which is the largest commercial real estate developer and owner and lender, and they give very, very reliable and representable report every year. And I used 1 year of CBRE document, and I gathered various different data also. And ultimately, I want to have a system to sell it to commercial real estate related people like warehousing, developer, banker, and tenant, and residential real estate related people, developers, investors, or buyers and sellers, and land holding companies and data driven investors. These are becoming very important because Wall Streets are pouring money into real estate these days. And first phase that I did in this project was how do I get the data and where is the reliable data, and finding that out. And we used API to get them, and we want to digest and clean the data and interpret the data into what's optimum level that we need, and then we're gonna look into sell the data to different markets. In summary, machine language and AI unlock the real-time insight, and to the many customers, we could even give them the like signal if they said, oh, I want to invest in a certain part of the region of the United States, and we could signal them it's a good time to do it or it's a bad time to do it. We could signal them and give them the ring. And we can use the current available tools like Python, API, and so forth and so on to create scalable pipelines for this project. And using various different data sources, and we could quantify into very depth and interpret what's going on, and forecast and pricing of the individual local market is also possible. And this is the work cloud using my data source in the CBRE 2023 report and gave our Python gave this, and our New Jersey regulatory and TFID word count help various different things, especially when if you are a developer, pilot programs, how other municipality is giving out the pilot program, which is tax deductible agreement for the developers, and municipality documentations are different on the very different township. And we could compare the different counties and construction report and so far and so on. And why is TF-IDF is so important our discussion today? It stands for term frequency and inverse documentation frequency. We use the tokenization tools to separate the documents into a small piece, and then we clean the documents using stop words, which is a common words to get rid of the most common words, and lemmatization and vectorization to clean the data. And finally, TF-ID, we could have the process the data we collect and cleaned into something that we could compare to, we could rank into, and so that we could compare and what is actually what is going on with each market. And with a good, let's look at the what we actually did. So we took the CBRE into tokenization. We separate the words, we made it into lowercase, and then we put it into various different filters. And the reason why I want you to see this is sometimes we get the words like let me see. Okay, like here, double digit. It's a two words as a one unit, and BPS as a two words unit, but then simply means it's filtered and became the space is a non-existing. And consumers research and retail sales, for example, here it didn't keep the two words together, so we have to do a little bit more work in terms of fine-tuning the Python program to actually become a sellable product. But I think this area of machine learning and AI can be very, very valuable tools. And that'll be it. That's my report.
Hi, my name is Gaurav Nagar, and I will be making a business case for the
Hi, everyone, and welcome to my formal presentation, When Fashion Language Becomes Strategy. So, where do we begin? We know that luxury retail is a story that few brands actually measure. Fashion is what tells us who we are becoming. In luxury, that story isn't just told through design or materials, it's told through language. Today, pricing and positioning executive decisions are made without any real way to measure whether the language that's actually being used with consumers truly supports the values that are being claimed by a luxury brand. And that matters because luxury consumers reward exclusivity and edge with real purchasing power. Now, when I originally started this analysis, I expected high and low price luxury to use completely different vocabularies. But what the data ended up showing instead was much more nuanced. High and low priced luxury share much of the same descriptive language, but what truly begins to differentiate them is selective emphasis, not different words. And there's a reason that that distinction is important because what it's suggesting is that luxury value is being signaled structurally, not superficially, like we might imagine. So on this slide, we're looking at the top TF-IDF terms for high and low price luxury items. What you'll see is that higher price luxury concentrates language around tailoring, heritage silhouettes, scarcity, and design-driven cues. Meanwhile, lower price luxury, which is over on the right side, emphasizes things like functionality, performance, and everyday use. Now, if you're even a little bit of a shopper, have you ever gone to a certain clothing store or, like me, completely avoided it? Places like Neiman Marcus, for example, because you instinctively understood what shopping at that store would mean for your budget if you had one. That instinct is where the product language cues come to life. So for this data set, what I've referenced was thousands of product descriptions scraped from Net-a-Porter and Mr. Porter. Both of these are exclusive luxury fashion retailers that carry the world's most celebrated and expensive brands. Over on this side, the bar charts that we have make this contrast even clearer. So what we're seeing is that high-priced luxury uses language that's meant to feel deliberate and different. Low-price luxury differentiates through things like accessibility and use case. This doesn't necessarily mean that one is better. It basically means that they're signaling different identities. And right now, brands don't really have a systematic way to check whether those signals align with the prices that they assign. When we take a step further and look at noun phrases, we can kind of take a step back and then look not just at individual words, but focus more on concepts as well. And specifically, what we can see through this data is that luxury apparel descriptions rely on a shared catalog vocabulary, things like silhouettes, materials, accessories, to organize the inventory, but also communicate value. TF-IDF shows that these concepts can repeatedly signal value without becoming generic, depending on how selectively they're used. Finally, we have our similarity matrix that ties all of this together. What it shows us is that 46% of high-priced noun phrases also appear in low-price descriptions, but only 35% of low-price phrases appear in high-price descriptions. This confirms what we've basically been seeing, that high-price luxury draws from a narrower, more controlled subset of a broader language pool. Now, the fun stuff, this is where my language intelligence platform comes in. The platform solution I propose will analyze product descriptions to evaluate price, language alignment, detect brand positioning drift, and compare category and competitor framing so that identity decisions are intentional, not based on vibes. And the first users of this platform are people who are already making high-stakes decisions where this insight immediately matters: stylists, emerging luxury brands, and buyers. For them, this platform will reduce risk, helping ensure products are priced, positioned, and presented in a way that actually supports the story they want to tell. So to end things off, I know I'm at the 5-minute mark, so if you can just give me another minute, I want to ask you, why do descriptions in luxury retail matter? They matter because language sits between creative vision and commercial reality, and right now, no one is measuring it. And what this intelligence platform solution will do is turn language into actionable intelligence for the luxury market, for things that stylists, brands, and buyers can use. And what I'm looking for today are investors who believe in building tools that help brands choose their future with intention. And I'd love for you to invest in bringing this intelligence platform to market. The users of this solution are in the business of creating and styling. You and I are in the business of making money. Let's work together. Thanks for your time and your consideration.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dhruvi, and I will be talking about turning unstructured customer reviews into revenue intelligence. Today, we're showing how customer reviews collected by a women's e-commerce clothing business, something every retailer already collects, can become into a revenue-generating intelligence asset. This is based on a 23,486 real customer reviews from a women's apparel e-commerce business. Instead of treating reviews as passive feedback, we are treating it here as a behavioral data that directly informs revenue, margin, and risk. Our focus in this case is to solve the business problem where reviews are collected but never monetized upon. Retailers usually sit on thousands of customer reviews, and most of that insight is never operationalized. It leads to untapped demand and experience signals. Manual review or analysis of it is almost impossible and cannot be scaled, and therefore there is missed opportunities and missed patterns across SKUs, categories, and time. When these signals are ignored, the business pays the price. One of the biggest ones is lower conversion, because of which new customers do not feel confident with the experience of the old customers to buy our products. In this situation, shoppers will always think about buying it somewhere else or never coming back to us ever again. Next is higher returns due to unresolved fit and quality issues. This can lead to unpleasant experiences, leading to higher returns and no future purchases from our customers. Lastly is inventory inefficiency, because products that are similar will eat up each other's market share unknowingly, leading to lower market share as a whole, and it also hinders eventually our product innovation. The opportunity that we are trying to present here is that we are trying to conduct review data analytics and give you guys a competitive advantage in your respective markets. Usually, customers describe value way better than product specs ever can. Past customers also advocate to bring in future customers, leading to higher market shares eventually. Any type of fit, fabric, comfort, and sizing consistently drive purchase decisions, yet these are often weakly captured in structured data. Reviews usually reveal why products succeed or fail, how customers experience them, where customers disengage or churn, and their overall experience with the product. NLP, in this case, allows us to convert this unstructured language into repeatable, scalable intelligence that can unearth a lot of patterns in terms of product design, product innovation, and product consumption. Our value proposition, why does this matter? Why do you guys need our services? Our solution here transforms customer language into product design and fit improvements. It leads to predictive merchandising analysis, conversion optimized product storytelling, and early warning quality alerts. This basically will act as a commercial intelligence engine powered by the customer's own words, not just on any assumptions or any kind of forecasting based on only numerical data that can hold no value when it comes to customer demand and experience in a clothing industry. So, how do we plan to achieve this? Our solution overview here basically takes you from raw text to valuable business decisions. We applied NLP across a review text column supported by ratings, recommendations, and product metadata. The process moves from raw text to structured signals to monetizable business actions. We'll walk through 4 layers of insight generation here. First, we will work on tokenization and word frequency analysis. Then we will generate the TF-IDF word level importance. Then we will move into noun phrase extraction and the TF-IDF to identify phrases that are frequently mentioned. And then finally, we will work on product similarity matrix, where we will be creating a matrix for highly reviewed products and a matrix for low review products. That way we can target both well-received products, and we can try and improve on products that receive lower likeness and lower ratings from customers. Step 1, word frequency analysis. Here, first we asked ourselves a simple but a very powerful questions. What do customers talk about the most? Frequent words often reveal core demand drivers. In this case, we see from this word chart that clothing types like shorts, robes, fabric qualities like rough embroidery, patterns like lace or ribbed, emotional descriptions like delicate are often mentioned here, and certain random miscellaneous words like vacation, which can mean vacation related outfits, etc., are highly mentioned in our reviews. The commercial value here basically is that it identifies what actually matters to customers, and it flags recurring preferences that should influence assorting and messaging. Step 2 is the TF-IDF on the review text, for which we just saw the bar chart. In this case, the word frequency shows volume, but the TF-IDF shows the importance. In this case, we notice that things like ribbed, bells, birds are mentioned the highest in our text. So TF-IDF surfaces product and category specific language, not generic filler words. This is critical for product differentiation, SKU level positioning, understanding what makes one product uniquely valuable. It basically leads to better product planning, design, and eventual execution. This moves us closer to design and merchandising intelligence, not just customer sentiment. Essentially, what this helps us do is it translates math into merchandising value. Step 3 was where we extracted the noun phrases, and then we created the TF-IDF graph with it. Customers don't think in single words, they think in features and experiences. So in this case, noun phrase TF-IDF captures phrases that are frequently mentioned, some of which are macram detail, actual hip, sleep shirt. These phrases basically reveal how customers define product value, not how retailers describe it. As mentioned earlier, these phrases help us generate feature-level customer intelligence. Phrases like these basically become direct input into generating and improving our product roadmaps. They lead to fit accuracy improvements, fabric and pattern prioritization, style and category expansion decisions. This is actionable intelligence for design teams, sourcing teams, merchandising and planning teams, and even marketing teams can utilize these values because some of this explore the customer experience. Essentially, it closes the gap between customer voice and execution. Step 4 basically is the most important and what we've been leading to up until now, which is the similarity matrix. In this case, for the highly rated products, which leads to strategic intelligence. Here, we measure how similar reviews are to each other, not just whether they're positive or negative. The clustered similarity matrix here reveals groups of reviews discussing the same themes, clear segmentation of customer concerns, and value drivers. Linguistic diversity overall is high in this case, which means that customers are nuanced and not generic. In this case, the matrix has a bright diagonal line, which means that this diagonal line represents where each review is perfectly similar to itself, causing it to have a similarity of 1. The color scale of the matrix reveals that the yellow-green means high textual similarity, bluish-purple means low textual similarity, and mostly blue overall reviews are linguistically diverse. To further extend on the analysis here, the cluster data has brighter areas which represent repeated themes like fabric praise, fit satisfaction, any kind of sizing satisfaction, styling compliments. The darker areas show unrelated conversations, which basically means where the consumers are using different language despite having similar feelings or experiences about the same product. The different clusters show customer concern or value driver. So this proves that our matrix is not just random noise, but there are patterns that are automatically detected. Commercially, what this enables us to do is that it helps us create feature level insights, product overlap detection, and smarter innovation instead of just guesswork based on any kind of assumptions or market trends or fads. This helps us develop a better innovative product moving forward. This is where we created an extension of the similarity matrix, but among the negative reviews. This is extremely important for risk and revenue protection. In this case, we isolated product reviews with only 1 to 2 star ratings, and we noticed that a very powerful pattern emerges in this case. The darker matrix means that there are more specific and overlapping negative reviews, which are repeated over and over again. These negative reviews are far more similar to each other, which have the same language, same problems, same complaints, same root causes for the most part. It also means that a lot of these issues are systematic or are in our products and not based on individual preferences. This is invaluable for you guys in the sense that it helps you have early defect detection, return and refund prevention. It leads to you having brand damage mitigation, and it also creates flags for any kind of quality issues. Finally, we're at the monetization model. Why exactly is all of this important? What are we working towards? This is exactly it. How can you use these insights for your profit generation in the future? This intelligence directly translates into dollars for you guys. It is basically your gold mine here. So the conversion optimization is one of the biggest one where it directly impacts the revenue. The use of the high TF-IDF phrases from 5-star reviews are way better than your product detail pages. Anything that's mentioned in your product detail pages is way less valuable in this case than customer language. In this case, customers convert better when they see their own language reflected. Next is return and defect risk detection. This basically leads to cost savings. So any kind of lower rating phrases clusters trigger targets for quality betterment, for future. And early intervention basically leads to lower returns in the future. And that can really help save cost in long term. Next is inventory and assortment optimization. This is where the margin is basically impacted. In this case, it identifies products that customers describe similarly. So it reduced product similarity and internal cannibalization. In other words, it basically improves you to have better and distinct products rather than having similar products that can eat up each other's sales. And it also improves product diversity eventually, leading to improved market share. And it can also help you gain market share in the market if you innovate and put something new in the market that maybe your other competitors do not have. And lastly, personalized recommendation. This also directly helps you increase revenue in this case. And here, the similarity matrix drives meaning-based recommendation, and it outperforms way better than one of those click-only recommender systems that a lot of e-commerce retailers tend to have. So this will give you a better competitive edge and better understanding of your audience, your customers, and what they want from you. So, out of everybody out there, why us? Why choose us? We don't just operate at the sentiment level. We operate at the SKU and feature level. Our approach here is to leverage real customer language, extract phrase-level intelligence through NLP, and is designed for commercial action and not just for pretty dashboards. This is NLP built for decision-making and not academic analysis. Most tools summarize reviews. We turn them into product decisions, merchandising strategies, and revenue protection mechanisms. So at the end of the day, we don't just summarize reviews, we turn them into decisions that can help you pave the way for better products and leading this industry in the market. Thank you, everybody.
Looks at our project looks at whether discussions by everyday investors on Reddit can be turned into useful market insight signals. We focus on posts from Wall Street bets, stocks, and investing, and analyze the language people use. The main idea is that how investors talk may reveal market signals that presses alone don't show. And retail investor discussions are messy and emotional, but they matter. These conversations can drive hype, fear, and sudden market moves. Most tools look only at prices or simple sentiment and miss the actual idea people are discussing. Our goal is to turn this messy language into clear and useful insights. We connect Reddit posts from 3 financial focused subreddits over a set time period from October 30 to September 6. In the end, we can build a paid subscription of SaaS or API offering that delivers real-time narrative and sentiment signals for traders, investors, and analysts. Let's move on to Hashim.
Right. So we start our methodology. We start by cleaning and normalizing the text to remove noise while preserving financial meaning. We then extract noun phrases and apply phrase-level TF-IDF to capture how investors express their ideas. And finally, we analyze narratives, similarity, and sentiment to understand shared themes and conviction. Next slide. So looking at the overall discourse, retail investors are highly action-oriented. discussion is dominated by buying, selling, timing, and long-term positioning rather than passive commentary. Next slide. So seeing the top tickers within the post, attention is clearly concentrated with NVIDIA leading by a large margin, followed by AMD, and major ETFs like SPY and QQQ, highlighting the central role of AI equities and market benchmarks. Next slide. And then looking at the noun phrases within the post, across assets, investors consistently emphasize long-term horizons, interest rates, market size, and cash flow, but the framing changes depending on the asset. And if you go to the next slide, and then when we look at the noun phrases for specific assets like NVIDIA and AMD, NVIDIA narratives focus on chip leadership and valuation concerns, while AMD discussions emphasize growth, execution, data center expansion. This shows retail investors form distinct asset-specific narratives. Next slide.
So for this project, we focused on extracting meaningful sentiment analysis from Reddit discussions on actively traded stocks. We collected roughly 2,800 Reddit posts that cleaned raw text, removed noise, and then we applied Vader sentiment scoring that allowed us to classify each post as positive, negative, or neutral. From there, we tied these sentiment scores to individual tickers. So instead of simply knowing which stocks were mentioned, we were able to quantify it, whether it was tone of the mentions was bullish or bearish. Next slide. The bar charts you see here break that out. The overall sentiment distribution for all the posts from our Reddit communities. And then if you go to the next slide, you can see the scores of the Vader sentiment from -1 to 1, representing positive, neutral, or negative sentiment for the top 10 tickers that we identified. So the next slide. Once sentiment becomes structured data, and there's a monetization opportunity, and retail traders funds already pay for alternative data. So Sentiment Engine can be packaged as a dashboard product. You could offer real-time alerts, sentiment spikes, API access, software as a service software, and it really helps transform the data into a sellable signal. Next slide. Looking forward, there are a few clear refinement steps. The current model does use Vader, which is for general purposes, but we can implement other finance-specific language models like Finbert that are more tailored towards finance and will have more sharper sentiment accuracy. We can expand beyond Reddit and go into Twitter, StockTwits, Discord, etc., and incorporate like a time series tracking so we can monitor sentiment momentum in real time. Once that's in place, we can begin correlating sentiment shifts with price movement and volatility. So in closing, this project takes emotional, unstructured commentary and turns it into structured, monetizable insight. It shows what retail traders believe, which stocks they're emotionally driving, and how we can build real value around sentiment. Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Connor Sweeney, and I am here to present how I'm going to revolutionize the government contracting industry through machine learning based on the Savvy dataset. Let's start with a breakdown of government contracting. Right now, every state requires X% of their contracting to be done with minority-owned businesses. You can see these types below. Now, why is there an issue? Currently, most large companies the state contracts with are not minority-owned. Usually, to find an appropriate minority-owned business to fill the contract, a buyer will spend hours doing research. This can be extremely tedious and extremely time-consuming. Now that we know how government contracting works, let's get into the data. For this slide, I'm going to show 2 rows to demonstrate how our data looks. In the first handful of columns, we see demographic info that's not necessarily useful to us, but there are 2 columns that we really want to focus on. These here describe what the business does. Historically, we've relied on the column on the right, commodity codes, to select vendors. Commodity codes are made by the government, and then the vendors select a multiple of which ones they fall under. The other column on the left is a business description that each vendor personally writes what they do. With our machine learning techniques, I'm hoping to pivot to using the description and potentially making a software that detects if a vendor is a good fit for a contract that we want to make. Based on my last slide, you guys may be wondering why I care about going to the description field and why I wouldn't just use the commodity codes. Right now, it is the historical use of vendor selection, but here's a breakdown of its complexity. For example, let's use an N95 mask. If I wanted to find a minority-owned vendor who sells one, first, I need to know the class code. There are 274 of these. Then, I would need to know the item code. There are 8,700 of these. Finally, I would need to know the group code. There are 29,000 group codes. It is insane how much you need to know just to find an N95 mask. This is very time consuming for the state buyers and why machine learning would be a great solution to our problems. I want to really hit home the point how machine learning with the description will be significantly better than using commodity codes. This example we have here is a business that says they do IT modernization and machine learning techniques. Now, you wonder, what exactly is their commodity code? It's all of this. Every vendor can list however many commodity codes they want, and they're actually incentivized to list more so they appear in more searches. This is exactly why a machine learning solution is time efficient and crucial to helping state buyers. Because of how crazy all the commodity code stuff is, I feel that making a software that analyzes the description would be better for a buyer to find the correct vendor. Now, I'm going to jump into the machine learning and how we could potentially use that machine learning to create a system that finds vendors quicker and better. And to start, we'll go with exploratory analytics. Looking at our data, we have a word cloud and a bar chart here that kind of show us that services, construction, commercial, and design all really jump out at the start because obviously most vendors are going to be doing that. But if we use TF-IDF, we can get a better idea of unique services that certain vendors would be able to provide. For example, with this word cloud and this bar chart, we could see stuff like field examination, print sales, asbestos services. That would be greatly useful for a buyer to know. Now, we can go even further with our text analytics. Using brute phases, we can understand the most common words a vendor uses to find similarities. With the similarities, we could compare similar vendors to get the best product. For example, here with our 3-gram brute phrases, we have we are, Inc. is a full service, stuff that doesn't really matter to us. So if we remove the stop words, and now we get it with no stop words removed, we could see vendors like information technology consulting, interior design services, where we would be able to compare these vendors between each other and potentially find the best fit vendor for the state. Even better than the brute phrases, we could start using spacey phrases to determine what vendors are selling at the highest count. So if we use the noun phrase here, we could see stuff like consulting services, real estate, project management. And then even further, we could use TF-IDF and spacey phrases together to find out what the most unique phrases are being used, such as industrial project, bakery catering, dumpster disposal. All of these are extremely important for a buyer to potentially use to understand what vendors they're contracting with. Finally, using the similarity matrix, we can combine all of this together to understand what vendors are selling the same thing to compare them. Realistically, I see my software as a one-stop shop for state buyers. They will log on and ask for a list of minority vendors who sell, let's say, N95 masks, and the software will give them a list of the best fit vendor, and they could go out and create a contract with them. So now let's kind of get into the core concept of this whole project is how can we make some money off this? Right now, basically what I have is I have an idea of making a software, and basically all I have is a way to parse through descriptions of vendors for people to find a better way to filter them. Basically, how I'm going to start is I think we could start locally at the state and then expand. I'm currently a state employee and can use my intrapreneurship as a proof of concept, and once we've proven that, we could change it into entrepreneurship. There is a huge potential customer base as every country does contracting that they need a better understanding of and probably more efficient reasons. Right now in the state there's 50 states with 20 departments, so that's over 1,000 potential customers, not including the local level, the federal level, or potentially even the international. There's a limitless amount of customers for this. Finally, over time, What I feel I can do is combine this data set with a vendor's spending set to find a minority business with a good history of performance to be the best fit vendor for each contract. Right now, that would take a buyer potentially over an hour, but with our textual analytics, it could take merely seconds. Making a software that analyzes all of these data sets could prove extremely lucrative, and I urge you all to join me on my journey and invest now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Balraj Singh, and today my project is going to be on predicting market sentiment using social media data. The motivation behind my project comes from a very simple observation that investors usually react emotionally to market news, and social media captures those emotions way quicker than it shows up on prices or stock market data. But it is hard to structure that vast amount of unstructured data and get the meaning of, is the market good to invest or not good to invest? In other words, bullish or bearish. So to capture and get the understanding of this data, we were able to use public discussions from Reddit finance related communities. So basically these are real-time users posting their opinions on stock market, could be inflation rates, could be the reaction to interest rates or geopolitical situations that are currently going. And further, we were able to classify that into three clusters. That is cluster 0, which is neutral, cluster 1 being bullish, that means go buy, and cluster 2 bearish, more concern and risk based, so don't buy in a way. Market emotion at a glance. When we used the word clouds, we were seeing more words as market, stock, buy, trade in the first chart, as you could see, which reflects more on the growth and opportunity side of the market. On the other side, where you're seeing words such as say, inflation, new, global, this means more the market is on the bearish side and people are more reacting in a bearish way, cautious and asking and saying that it's risky to invest in the current situations. Further, when we're looking into the noun phrases bar charts, this same sequence was continuing, and terms like stock, economy, and investing were more showing up in a bullish narrative in the Reddit comments. And on the bearish, you're seeing more words like inflation, earning, in China. So when we're seeing words such as earnings or inflations or risk, we could understand that okay, the market is more on a bearish state and it's not good to invest. But when we're seeing words like stock, economy, and investing, we are good to invest because a lot of people on social media are reacting that the market is good and bullish to invest right now. To dig deeper, when we went into the noun phrase TF-IDF charts, we were seeing high weights on words like economy, stocks, stock markets, finance, business, which were all words which was pushing the narrative of more of a bullish kind of point of view. So this basically indicated confidence in market fundamentals and showing upside potential to invest in the market for better returns. So we were seeing in in comments where buy opportunity and valuations were coming from, the sentiment was more on yes, invest. The market is more on the bullish side. On the other hand, we were seeing top weighted phrases such as inflations, earnings, quarters, global reactions, which was basically bearish drivers. And we were seeing that people were giving the sentiment out more on a bearish side, which are cautious and risk oriented, not to invest in that kind of scenario. Our target audience for this business proposal is basically retail investors looking to understand the market segment. A lot of finance analysts, a lot of investment bankers look into the market more in an emotional way and try to read the sentiment out of it and rather than just buying stocks that they think that it is beneficial. So our product could be based on a subscription model being sold to enterprises or individual people on different tier based models, where on a basic model, you could be paying $10 a month and you could be seeing as market overview, and a premium sector where you're paying a bit more, $20 a month, and you could look into specific words or maybe custom prices for enterprises or a better kind of company, big scale. The key takeaway to be concluding our project in our business model, we're basically trying to collect real-time social media news and posts and read what people are saying about the market currently. Are they saying the market is reacting bullish? Are they saying their market is reacting bearish? Is it a best chance to invest now or pull out money? This is basically the end product from the goal. Look at the social media posts, get all that data, upload it, and in a snapshot, you could understand, hey, the sentiment behind the market is to invest or is it to pull out my investments at the current moment. I hope you guys understand and like my idea, and I'm psyched to hear what you guys think about it. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anthony Smith, and today I'm going to show you how retail investors like us can level the playing field against Wall Street's institutional giants. The question I'm answering today is simple. How can individual investors compete when they're up against billion-dollar hedge funds with teams of analysts and cutting-edge technology? Well, the answer is equally simple. We need to arm ourselves with the right tools. Now, let me paint you a word picture of what we're up against. Institutional investors have everything. They've been paying $24,000 per year for their Bloomberg terminals. They have AI-powered algorithms that can analyze thousands of data points in just milliseconds. They employ PhDs, data scientists, and sector specialists who do nothing but research stocks all day long. Meanwhile, us retail investors, we're making investment decisions based on emotions and gut feelings because we don't have access to the same analytical tools. When we do our analysis, we're monitoring the market part-time in between our day jobs, while institutions have teams working around the clock. We're essentially bringing a butter knife to a gunfight. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way anymore. Enter sentiment analysis, specifically StockTweets sentiment analysis. Think about this. StockTweets, which is a website that has millions of retail investors sharing their real-time opinions, predictions, and insight about stocks every single day. It is the largest community of retail traders in the world, and all of that data is sitting there waiting to be analyzed. What I have built is a system that does exactly what institutional investors do, except it's designed for people like us. First, it automatically collects 500 posts about 5 major tech stocks in real time: AMD, NVIDIA, Snowflake, Palantir, and ASML. Second, it uses the same AI technology that hedge funds use, which is called Finbert AI, to classify whether each post is bullish, bearish, or neutral. This isn't guesswork. This is machine learning trained specifically on financial language. Third, it converts all of the qualitative sentiments into quantitative scores. We can measure relevance across market news, company-specific developments, and investor insights. We can identify keywords, track noun phrases, and even measure how similar discussions are across different stocks. Finally, and this is crucial, it presents everything through professional dashboards, charts, and visualizations that you can actually understand and act on. In other words, we're taking institutional grade technology and putting it in the hands of retail investors. Now let me show you what this tool looks like in action. This dashboard gives you a high-level overview of the market sentiment for the stocks that you own or are watching. It enables you to quickly understand the key topics being discussed by your fellow retail investors, while also providing the ability to deep dive the sentiment and analysis further if you wish. I'll walk you through 3 examples today, starting with Palantir. From the 488 Palantir posts pulled this morning, the majority of StockTweets discussions were bullish. Now, why were people bullish? If we look at the top keywords by category, investor insights show that the current price is being considered fair, with most recommending a hold status. Finally, in examining the top 5 most relevant posts, all of which are bullish with a high relevance score, I can quickly digest and conclude that holding my Palantir position is my best short-term strategy. All right, let's talk about ASML now, which is a Dutch company with a true monopoly. They're the only manufacturer of specialized lithography equipment that TSMC and other chip makers depend on. Despite this advantage, the sentiment data reveals an interesting tension. Retail investors remain overall bullish, but many are flagging the stock as overbought. This caught my attention, as well as the keyword split appearing frequently throughout the discussions and on the keyword chart. After digging deeper, I discovered there's speculation around a potential stock split, though nothing has been officially announced yet. Here's why this matters. At roughly $1,000 per share, ASML is out of reach for many retail investors. But if a stock split happens, it could open up access to a company with an unbreakable competitive moat. This is the exact kind of early signal that puts ASML on your watch list before the mainstream catches on. Let's take a look at Snowflake, which has been one of the hottest tech stocks all year. And I'm showing you this because I was genuinely surprised to see red across the board for this stock. I had no idea retail sentiment on Snowflake was starting to flip. Is it a high evaluation? Is it decelerating growth concerns? I don't have the answer yet, but here's the key point. This tool gave me an early warning signal that something is shifting. Without this dashboard, I might have missed this sentiment change entirely. Now, I know that I need to dig deeper and figure out what is driving this bearish turn before I'm making any moves. So here's a message to you. Don't compete with one hand tied behind your back. In today's market, the information advantage is the profit advantage, period. The institutional investors have always had better tools, better data, and better analysis, but technology is changing that equation. We now have access to the same artificial intelligence, the same natural language processing, and the same analytical frameworks that Wall Street uses, because the market doesn't care whether you're a billion-dollar hedge fund or an individual investor managing your own retirement account. The market only cares about who has better information and who acts on it faster. The Stock Tweets Sentiment Analysis Tool is a free website for all your retail investors with a few ads. Level the playing field, make data-driven decisions, and stop letting Wall Street have all the advantages. Try the website today. Thank you.